All right. Good afternoon, Kat. How are you today?
Good afternoon. I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm really good. So just a little side note here. I saw that you worked for Disney for 6 years. I worked for Disney early in my career, and whenever I see someone here in Volusia County with Disney experience, I jump right on it to set up some time as I did with you. So thank you for taking the time to meet with me and allowing me to record this portion of the
Thank you
interview.
for taking the time to meet with me as well.
Absolutely. So, we talked a little bit about some opportunities that we have here in Volusia County. One in particular, we went over in depth, and you had expressed some interest in that. So I did send you some assessments, and I am very pleased to share that your typing words per minute are well above average, extremely well above average, as well as your Excel assessments. So I think it's pretty fair to say that you have some solid computer experience.
Thank you. I feel like I do.
Okay, well, it proves on paper that you do. So, let's just talk a little bit about what you've been doing for work most recently. What did you do at Disney?
I was a merchandise coordinator. So in layman's terms, I guess that would be like an assistant manager. So I delegated tasks. I managed the store for a day-to-day basis,
Mhm.
and then made sure that everybody was doing their job the way that they were supposed to be doing it.
Okay, so great. You've got a definitely some good experience there. Now, were you doing like the payroll, the reporting at the end of your shift?
No payroll, but I
Okay.
would look at like how many hours we did spend for the week versus how much income we had coming in versus, like trying to figure that out if we were
Mhm.
within our budget of hours or not.
Okay. And then you had some other positions besides your
Mhm.
Disney position where you did work in an office. So
Yes.
tell me a little bit about that experience.
Prior to Disney, I did work at a credit union for
Mhm.
4 years. I was a teller for 1 year, and then I was moved up to member services, which is a loan specialist. So I would work on, entering all the person's information and figuring out if they could be approved for a loan or not.
Okay.
Um, Prior to that, I worked at Michael's.
Mhm.
It started out as a seasonal temp job, and then I got hired in, and then I got promoted to be the support specialist, where I did do the daily bookkeeping and the deposits and things like that.
Okay.
So, and then
And
growing up when
then,
I was younger, I used to work in a doctor's office as well in the summers. So,
okay. Great. So then that brings me to my next question.
Mhm.
You were in the Orlando area and now you are here in Volusia County in the Ormond Beach area, right
Mhm.
next to Daytona. And the position that I'm hiring for is not a leadership position. And I know that you had some leadership roles in the past. But we did talk a little bit about that, about some burnout and, how that happens when you're, focusing on, lots of different things and you've had some changes in your life. So what are you looking for now, ideally?
Just something that can be a little bit less so on all the time. Like I'm always
Mhm.
on, but just Disney, you have to be that extra tenfold. And then
Mhm.
just with everything going on in my life, I just couldn't give that, you know, way above and beyond. I could just give my,
Mhm.
normal above, and it just
Okay.
wanted
So
something a little
when you
different.
say like you're normal, so like working a reception position, if you were greeting guests and you were answering calls, what does that look like for you on a daily basis?
Oh, still being 100%, above and beyond always, but
Okay.
I just feel like there's a difference between just being polite and professional and friendly and then
Mhm.
being that Disney polite and professional and friendly.
Sure.
It's
Yeah,
like,
the little extra
yeah,
sparkle that you need to
which
have, when people are vacationing, as opposed to an office setting.
exactly.
I get it. I did it for many years. So I completely understand that. And then of course, adding the leadership expectations onto that as well.
Hmm.
So now would you be open to a long-term temp position?
Yes, I would be.
Okay, great. And if the reception position included, some data entry, some mailroom, you have all of that experience from your past positions. Okay, great. And tell me a little bit about your availability.
Pretty much open availability right now.
Okay, all
So
right. And available to start as soon as possible?
as soon as possible.
Okay, great. Now I think it goes without saying, of course, your customer service skills are going to be stellar, with that type of training that you received from Disney. So,
Mhm.
why don't we just talk quickly about like maybe some de-escalation? Like, say someone calls in and they weren't real happy on the other end of the phone. How do you de-escalate that?
First, always apologize for them and listen to what they have to say, and then do what I can to help solve it and make it better for them.
Okay, great. And then as far as like time management, you prove that of course in your past positions. But how does that look for you? Like how do you keep yourself organized?
Usually with notes and tasks like that, and delegating, what's the most important task versus when it needs to be done,
Mhm.
and just figuring out what needs to be done first and work from there.
Okay. Wonderful. Alrighty. And then, oh, lastly,
Mhm.
let's talk a little bit about like reliability and attendance and things like that, because obviously that's very important to any client,
Oh, yeah.
especially the client that I'm going to be working with. And I know that that was something that was incredibly important with Disney. And you would not have been there for 6 years, had there been, some question on, attendance. But, what does that look like for you as far as, reliability and being on time and tell me a little bit about you and in that respect.
Um, to me, that is always a very, very big thing. I never like to be late. I always like to be early. Um, and I'm always like a time hawk of if I need to be somewhere, I'm like, okay, 10 more minutes. Okay, 9 more minutes. Okay, 8 more minutes. So I'm afraid I'm going to be late all the time. So,
Okay. Yeah, we talked about that a little bit. I know, in at Disney you do a clock in, clock out, and they have a point system and all of that. And I feel like, to be honest, this is a little outside of the realm, but I feel like that's what gave me my good time management skills was, doing that for so many years and having that type of accountability. And so that's another reason to kind of circle back with what I said at
mhm,
the beginning of our call, why I always really look for folks that worked for companies such as Disney, a Chick-fil-A, Publix, all of those types of companies. You might not necessarily be office positions like, someone coming from an exact like like role, but the skills are so transferable, and
yeah.
you get that good basis and that good, learning about how to, work well in an office environment, if you will.
Mhm.
All right, Kat. Well, I'm going to go ahead and stop this part of the interview, but don't go anywhere. We got a
All
few
right.
more things to chat about.